We're live. Derek Colanduno's here today. Hi, Derek.
Hello.
All right, we're about to start the audio. Here we go.
You can help support the Daily Tech News Show by becoming a patron. Go to patreon.com/AgeDetect or bit.ly/help DTNS.
This is the Daily Tech News for the first day of the fourth quarter, Thursday, October 1st, 2015. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Derek Colanduno, programmer and host of the Skepticality podcast, the guy who does the Skep Track at Dragon Con, and actually the only reason that I ever found out about Dragon Con and got exposed to that lovely conference every fall in Atlanta, Georgia. Thanks for joining us, Derek, and thanks for cajoling me into coming out all those years ago.
I know. I always try to get everybody to go there, and then, adds to the mass of people we end up getting.
Yeah, it does keep. We were talking about that before the show. It gets bigger every year, but
yeah, we've been having our trend line has been about between 20 and 30% growth year over year since 2004.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's been crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've added a new hotel every 2 years, it seems.
Oh, the trend continues. Well, in your day job, though, you're a programmer, developer. You work in IT, and we're going to talk a little bit today about cloud services. I assume you have run into cloud services in your job before.
Yeah, a lot of my clients always are either trying to migrate that way, or they're dealing with it, or they ask advice about it, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
well,
I work with mainly government, so these are pretty big clients. So.
Yeah. Not too many small government clients anymore.
No, there's quite a few, but...
Well, let's take a look first at the headlines. Bloomberg reports Amazon sent an email to its marketplace sellers saying it will stop selling Apple TV and Chromecast. Even if you're a third-party seller, no new listings will be allowed, and existing inventory will be removed as of October 29th. Amazon said, quote, "It's important that the streaming media players we sell interact well with Prime Video in order to avoid customer confusion. Roku players are unaffected. Amazon has an app for Roku." This seems to be, Derek, the opposite of what we saw with Kindle, where Amazon made a Kindle device, but they were very eager to put the Kindle app and the Kindle books on as many platforms as possible.
On your phone and everything. And in fact, there's, I think, Kindle apps for everything, even like Linux. I think there's even one. So I'm confused about this one. I'm not quite sure why they did it.
Yeah.
Because the Chromecast is so cheap, I can't imagine they're losing money because of it. So.
Right. And the idea with the Kindle was, well, we'll make money on books and we'll make money on hardware because we'll make really good hardware.
Yeah.
This makes me less likely to want to buy a video through Amazon because I am, I don't know if I'll be able to play it on my device of choice in the future.
Yeah. I'm really confused about this one because they didn't say anything about that particular point. But it doesn't make any sense to me because there's so many other things that directly compete with Amazon in a much bigger way that have been there since the beginning, and they don't care about them.
Yeah.
So I'm really confused about this. I mean, why do they sell like iPads? I mean, that's
right. Yeah, well,
yeah,
exactly. Or you can buy, not that there are too many of them, but you can buy competing e-books readers as well. But yeah, I mean, they make Fire tablets. Those are competitors. You can buy all kinds of Android tablets that aren't made by Amazon. Yeah.
And those are, to me, that's a bigger chunk of their market share than the $30 Chromecast. So I don't understand it at all. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Fortune's Stacey Higginbotham has an excellent report that Nest is launching a Works with Nest store to sell devices that are compatible with Nest's home products. Nest also released an API for its Nest Cam, the former Drop Cam, so that those products can interact with the camera. Anything in the Nest Works for Nest would be able to interact with the Nest Cam, as well as being able to put Nest Cam things into your own apps. Nest's Weave protocol now uses the Thread wireless protocol based on 6LoWPAN to allow its devices to connect to the internet over low-power, secure mesh networks. An example of that is Yale. They have a new Linus smart lock that can signal Nest Cam to turn on after too many incorrect passcodes are entered. So it takes advantage of the API. It's part of the Works with Nest store, and it's basically like lockout for your house, but then turns on the camera to be like, hey, let's take a look at who's doing that.
some fun stuff for the next wave of black hat hackers can go in there and have fun with your house.
Yeah, the one thing about Nest Weave that's bad is it's not an open platform. Now, they are making the API available and everything and trying to encourage this, but it's not a platform that anybody can just build in. You kind of, it's locked down. But the good thing is that they do have some pretty good security, including device-specific security, so that certain things like the refrigerator will never talk to your locks on your they just say, look, there's no need for that to happen. So if some hacker's trying to break in through the refrigerator's API somehow, we can lock stuff out like that. Nothing is 100% secure, of course. My
15-year-old self is thinking we have made it to the point of the Neuromaster, have we? It's like we're going through refrigerators to get to people's thermostats. So we're there, aren't we?
The Washington Post has interviewed the founders of an app called People, that's Peeple, that lets you rate and comment about actual people. They enthusiastically call it Yelp for people. You have to have a Facebook account to sign up, and that Facebook account has to have been active for more than 6 months. You have to have a working cell phone number, so they're doing their best to keep anonymity out of this. Users have 48 hours to message anyone who gives them 2 stars or less and try to convince them to change it. They also say bullies will be booted off, inaccurate reviews will be removed. They have lots of policies about, harassment. Only positive reviews are shown on profiles for people who haven't signed up for the service. However, only people who have signed up for the service can see their reviews. The app is scheduled to launch in late November. They're really, really trying to pitch this as positivity, like a way to get positive information out. But the big concern is immediately that people will use it to slam each other.
Well, and the way you have to get into this is through Facebook, right?
Yeah. I mean, already a lot of people will be kept out because of that, I suppose.
Well, that, and have you've been on Facebook? You've seen comments on there. So this will be fun.
Yeah,
I mean, this will be about the same level of discourse as the comments on the YouTube threads. So it'll be fun.
Listen, if we're gonna try to be in the spirit of the founders and put a positive spin, maybe they'll be the first ones to figure out how to crack the spiral down into negative comments. Maybe they'll do it, Derek. Maybe.
It would be fun to see, but because I guarantee you, the first time they take away somebody's negative review, there'll be that whole cry out of, well, it's all censored, so people won't use it, and I can just see it happening. Although I've seen a couple people talk about the fact that this actually might end up being a good thing because people might be more cautious about their online. We'll see what happens.
I think their bigger problem is going to be uptake, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's talking about it today, but it doesn't launch until November. We'll see if enough people actually use it to make a difference.
Could be the next Google wave.
Yeah. Dating app Tinder is making its Super Like feature available to everyone after a month-long test in Australia. According to the Next Web, Super Like lets you swipe up to express open interest in another person. The Super Like will show up as a badge next to your picture in that person's feed. They can then make a decision to either swipe right to talk to you or swipe left and walk away, normal Tinder style. Super Like is limited to 1 user per day. Although if you're a paying Tinder member, you can use it up to 5 times a day. Tinder says in its test matches were 3 times more likely to occur with a Super Like, and that conversations were 70% longer.
I just find the whole concept of Tinder needing something to make people like it even more. It's like if you like somebody on Tinder, what's the difference between Super Like and what's going on now on Tinder? Because I've heard stories, so I'm trying to figure out what the difference would be.
The difference is the limitation, right? I think they're taking a page from Twitter here saying limitations cause different behavior and have interesting results. They're saying you can only have 1 of these a day, or if you're a paying member, 5 of them a day, so you use them more carefully. And so when you receive a Super Like, it feels more special than just a normal swipe.
I guess since I'm not single anymore, I'm missing out a whole subsection of the internet I'm not involved with. So.
Yeah, same here. I can't claim to speak from experience on Tinder for sure. Reuters reports that Hewlett-Packard's board has approved the plan to split into 2 companies. You might be excused if you thought that had already happened. It's been dragging on for a long time.
I was going to say, finally, it's actually going to happen.
The 2 companies will be, same as we reported before, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, which will handle the corporate hardware and services, and HP Inc., which will focus on personal hardware and business. HP Inc. will continue to be traded under the HP ticker on the New York Stock Exchange, while HP Enterprise will get a new ticker, and everybody who owns HP stock will get a share of that stock under the ticker HPE. Wired reports Google announced it's building a fiber optic network for the cities of Accra and Kumasi in Ghana as part of Project Link. The effort broke ground in June and aims to offer service by the end of 2016, according to Google Ghana country manager Estelle Afokiosowa. Project Link is different than Google Fiber. Project Link sells capacity to ISPs and mobile carriers, so they're building backbone rather than providing ISP services themselves. And the project already has one system up and running, providing broadband to Kampala, Uganda.
So that's what that is. I didn't finish the article, and so I'm trying to think out what they were trying to actually do, because I realized it wasn't for, consumer use, but so yeah, they're just trying to get more customers, worldwide. So
now in Uganda, they didn't really have any competing service.
Yeah.
It's a landlocked country. Ghana has service, so really what they're trying to do is provide faster, more improved service, which is
because I know most of those places like that, they all work off mobile phones because their real broadband is it's all mobile. So
yeah. Microsoft added Translate to Skype for Windows officially today, with voice languages in English, French, German, Italian, Mandarin, and Spanish, and then 50 languages if you're just using text. Translate was released in preview for Skype back in December of last year. Skype Translator option is available to everyone using a PC or a tablet running Windows 7, 8, 8.1, or 10.
So we're now at the Star Trek translator point. We're almost there.
It's not quite real time like Janeway when she's talking to the Kazon, but yeah.
Getting there. I tried to use this type of tech with a friend of mine who lives in China that knows Mandarin, and he said it's not that good, but good enough.
Good at it, like you could make yourself understood, but it wasn't elegant.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to use small words.
Yeah.
But it worked pretty well. I mean.
Yeah, you have to speak clearly. I've noticed. Then the time.
I couldn't even say anything in Mandarin, so I guess it's much better than nothing. So.
True. Same here for sure. CNET reports on LG's two big announcements this morning. The LG V10 is an Android 5.11 Lollipop phone with a 5.7-inch screen. This is the one, if you remember, has a second screen set above the main display to show you information like weather, time, and data. There are also dual front-facing cameras, so you can take a 120-degree photo. It will come to Korea in October, with the US, China, and other Asian markets to follow. No price was announced. LG also showed off the Watch Urbane second edition. That one is the one that will come with LTE built in so that you can make and receive phone calls right from the watch. Watch has a full circle 1.38-inch POLED display as well, and it'll launch in the U.S. and Korea whenever that happens. They didn't give us a date or a price.
I hope all that stuff comes.
Yeah.
A lot of times, all those freaky gadgets usually end up dying before they get here. Not dying.
LG very famously had a video watch where you could make video calls at CES one year, and we still haven't seen that. This one, I mean, it does seem like it will come this year. It is interesting that they had a big announcement without even price information or release date.
Yeah, that's the thing that always gets me.
Hey, we get a lot of these stories from our subreddit, folks. Thank you for participating there. dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Motang submitted the Ars Technica article noticing that Google and Microsoft released a joint statement announcing the two companies have reached an agreement on patent issues, dismissing all patent cases between the two companies, including a case that Microsoft brought against Motorola in 2010 that Google inherited and has still been fighting. There were no financial terms announced, but one of the things Microsoft has been doing is collecting royalties off Android phones, and they were going to get a lot of money if they had won that case with Motorola. So it would be interesting to know if Google agreed to pay royalties to Microsoft or not.
Something happened.
Yeah.
We'll probably never know.
Peace in our time, though. That's a big case to settle.
Hey, if this is something that sparks a trend, that'd be great. Because I'm just sick of the patent stuff.
It always moves on to something else, though, right? Like right now, it's software, especially software with mobile design, etc. 10 years from now, it'll all be about Internet of Things sensors.
Something.
There's always something new. Speaking of something new, carbon nanotubes, you may have heard of being used as transistors. They can operate at dimensions much smaller than 10 nanometers, which gives a path forward beyond silicon, which I think the smallest they've been able to make silicon work at yet is 7 nanometers, and they feel like they may have hit the wall there. The problem for carbon nanotubes has been contact points, because the contact points at nanotubes cause resistance, hindering performance. VentureBeat notes that IBM researchers have an article in the October 2nd issue of Science describing a way to bond metal molybdenum to carbon nanotubes to create a new contact structure. And the upshot is, if you don't care about what elements are being used in what way, they showed no performance hit at 9 nanometers, and they theoretically can take it all the way down to 1.8 nanometers. If that pans out, Moore's Law might get another extension here.
Yeah, well, they always figured out a way to do it. That's the thing. I've never had a fear of that. It's always going to be something different than what you think it is. But the Moore's Law thing, if you look all the way back to like the 8088 and just watch the development of that, and you always thought, well, I remember between the 386 and the 4086, I remember that the war was going to end. And they figured out it's always something. And after Pentium, they thought it would never go. Yeah, so it's always
an interesting exercise I will leave to the listener or viewer is to go to Google, turn on the search tools, limit your search to like ending in 2003, and then do it ending in 99, and search for the end of Moore's Law, and you'll find articles every year.
I remember in the 80s, people talked about this.
Oh, totally.
Right before they came out with the next thing after the 8088, they had no idea what was going to happen, and then they had the first of the 286 generation. I remember having to solder my own boards back in the day. So there's always a end of the world freak out. So
Waffleophagus in the chat room points out it's the law, guys. It's never going to end. Sorry. And then our final story is not the kind of story we would normally talk about. A website got hacked and a data dump. That happens a lot, sadly. We don't always pay attention to all of these, but we are going to pay attention to this one because it's the way the show gets funded. Patreon got hacked. Patreon founder Jack Conte posted last night that his engineering team discovered unauthorized access to the Patreon database on September 28th, so just a couple of days ago. Conte wrote that names, emails, posts, and some shipping addresses, not all, I think it was shipping addresses in some cases and some mailing addresses from before 2014. Passwords, social security numbers, and tax forms were accessed but had been encrypted with a 2048-bit RSA key, hashed with bcrypt, and randomly salted. So those are fairly heavily encrypted. However, there's reports that data has been dumped out publicly. So as a precaution, Patreon recommends that all users change their passwords. Again, particularly noting this hack because we know many of you, thousands of you, support the show through Patreon. So if you haven't seen the email from Jack or you haven't seen an email from me, and this is the first you're hearing about it, go to Patreon and change your password. We can have a debate whether we think Patreon reacted well, but the fact that this happened September 28th and they're saying it now is fast. They were saying it last night, September 30th. That's fast. And that 2048-bit RSA, bcrypt, and random salt is pretty damn good.
The only problem that you could actually think of is the fact that they have all the time in the world if they have all the data. Yeah,
exactly. And so that's why you want to make sure that you change your password.
Yeah.
No credit card numbers were accessed. That's kept in an entirely separate situation.
Yeah.
So your payment information should not be affected. And that is a look at the headlines. Folks, you should submit stories to us, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Let us know what stories you'd like to hear. It'd be a good place if you have feedback and you're not a supporter. If you're a supporter of Patreon, let us know on the Patreon posts what you think of. If you have any concerns, we'd love to answer them. But if you're not and you've got thoughts about it, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Interesting article on the Next Web posted from The Conversation. So it's a separate website that they reposted an article from. The article is called, "It's Not Just Facebook That Goes Down. The Cloud Isn't As Robust As We Think." They point out that last week, We had an Amazon Web Service outage. We talked about it on this show, the ZDNet article about the guy whose alarm clock started freaking out because of it. Skype was down for almost a whole day on September 21st. Facebook has been down at least 2 times in the past week. That prevented some logins from happening. If you log in with Facebook on stuff, it might not have worked. Google lost a few gigabytes, apparently, according to this article, after a Belgium power grid was struck by lightning 4 times. They had backups, they had redundant power systems, but that's a lot of power issue. Power grids are a risk. We see innumerable articles on SCADA. SCADA stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. The SCADA systems have security issues that people are trying to... SCADA? Did you say it's SCADA?
That's one of the things I program.
Okay. So can you talk about like some of the issues there? Because what this article's premise is that as we rely more and more on cloud services, first of all, when they go down, if that's our only way of getting the data, then that's a problem. But also the power systems that run these data centers where we have all the cloud data storage, if it's not secure, then that's a problem as well. And these SCADA systems are the things that are between us and bad actors bringing down the power system. Well,
SCADA systems are mainly a control. The best way to put it is if you have a remote control, that's what it is. Like if you think about it that way, if you have a TV and you have a remote control and you're using the remote control, that's kind of what that is. It's not quite one-to-one, but it's close to what I'm thinking of. And what a SCADA system really is if you've ever seen movies or those systems where they have the big giant board at the subway system or the airport, or they have like the pictures of like the roads and the airport things and all, that's a SCADA system. And they're mainly used for controlling remote points, like that they have like a pump or a motor or a light, or the biggest one there we can think of is the traffic light systems. That's kind of a SCADA system itself. And a lot of these SCADA systems then also get information back. Like the water wastewater industry, they tell us when somebody's pump goes on and off, so we know how much water somebody's using or how much water is going through a sewer pipe. So we collect that data. In the case of power, this is where it gets iffy. If somebody figures out a way to hack or modify the SCADA system, that's what controls the power grids to know that I need more power over here, or that it's getting too hot. If you live in an area where it gets too hot and you have brownouts, it's SCADA systems that kind of control that from happening. So the internet is kind of like a big SCADA system itself because of the way the internet works. It's point to point. But the reason why, if you think about it, it's more reliable because of that. You can actually get fussy about a certain server. Not much you can do about that. But as far as like the internet as a whole, it'd be very difficult for anybody to do anything to the internet. But they could do things to like Dropbox or maybe not Google, because I think they have nodes everywhere. But you know what I mean? It's not like the world's going to end because Facebook's main servers have a hiccup. Well, that's going to happen. That's the internet.
Well, and I think the interesting part of this article is that the internet is meant to be scalable. It's meant to be redundant. Yeah. If part of it goes down, it doesn't bring down the whole. But as we get more and more data kind of concentrated in data centers, and as those data centers are holding the data for more and more essential items, like you could say Facebook's not essential right now, but let's say Facebook became the default way to log into everything, right? And that really took off for some reason. That could be an issue. I know that's a big what if.
How about Amazon Web Services?
There you go. Yeah,
people have no idea how many companies actually just rely on that for their entire data systems.
Yeah, some of Netflix went down when Amazon Web Services have gone down in the past.
Yeah,
so
same. I mean, that's why they rely on part of it. Yeah. So.
Dark Redeemer in our chat room earlier said it seems that the physical structure of the internet being designed as multi-redundant is being countermanded, I might even say undermined, by the cloud app infrastructure of interoperability and interdependency, and so. I'm not saying like run for the hills, folks. But we talk a lot about cloud services and privacy, right? Like, should you trust your data with Dropbox? Should you trust your data with Amazon? We don't talk a lot about reliability. Like, hey, now hold on, you can try. Let's say you can trust these services. Should you put is your data going to be reliably accessible there? Is lightning going to strike some data center 4 times and happen to wipe out a couple of gigabytes that have your data in it?
I think in certain cases you shouldn't really worry too much. Google, I don't think you'd have to worry too much because they have triple redundancy everywhere. I mean, you should see, I drive by one of their data centers up here in northern Georgia, and the thing is like 2 or 3 football fields long, and they have nothing but air conditioning units on top of it. It's crazy, and they have tons of those all over the world. Now, Amazon, I think the same thing, but now if you get down to like Dropbox, yeah, they're pretty big, but how big are they? Or Box.com, there's another option.
Yeah.
So I mean, in the point, your point is good, but I think you should be aware of the size of the company you're putting your data in. If you're talking about the reliability part. So
my reaction to a lot of people who have fear-mongered about cloud services on the reliability side has been to say, look, the chances of your hard drive in your own house going bad and you being able to recover that are much more, or you not being able to recover it, are much more than theirs because they do this for a living. That's not to say you shouldn't evaluate, like Derek's saying, whether the company's reliable on the whole. But I guess my ultimate answer has always been, so make sure you have a backup that you're in control of, as well as a backup that somebody like that is reliable for the most part is in control of. Because then if the system does go down for some freak reason or some SCADA attack on their electrical systems or something, you still have your data backed up locally as well.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, everybody should go and actually see what a data center is like, go inside of one, and tell me again that you can have anywhere near the level of equipment there to like back things up. I mean, their computers alone are in like, if you're hot, you want to work at a data center because they're all cold to keep everything nice and running better. So the whole thing, all these things are designed to stay up, and if they go down, they still have the data. So in a way, even if it goes down, they're better at a backup than you are, even if you have it in your own house.
Now, what about things that you need real-time access to? Maybe some kind of authentication. Maybe your door locks are running through some kind of cloud service. We talked about Nest Weave earlier, and someone again through the infrastructure brings the power down, brings it like Facebook being brought offline, and you can't get into your house. I mean, is that something we need to be worried about?
If you abandon keys, well, I guess you should be worried, but. I think that there's always a way to make sure that you can get in your house.
Well, yeah, I mean, and maybe that's just a bad example, but what I'm saying is, the reliability of connectivity is another part of cloud services, and when you need them to be available. And one of the things this article was pointing out was, hey, if the air conditioning is brought down at a data center, as you say, that can be a nightmare for backup tapes and things like that. So are these SCADA systems getting secure enough that we cannot worry as much about that sort of thing?
When I got hired in my company, that's the reason why they hired me. That's what I did. I did it for water and wastewater, but because almost every water and wastewater system is run by SCADA systems. I mean, not run by them, but they have SCADA systems to get all their information. And that's what I did. It was right after 9/11, and everybody's worried about that stuff. And for the most part, many of the governments were about 50% there. And then the ones that weren't, they just needed to learn some very basic things that I think people like me and you or anybody watching the show probably knows. Like, if you're worried about people hacking into your data network, don't use the internet. Just build your own, stuff like that. But for the most part, the SCADA systems are run by radio, and they're fairly encrypted, especially ones for gas and electric. Water, wastewater, they're decently encrypted. There's not much people can do to the water system. They could probably try to. Well, there's not much you can do. I guess you could try to like control one to like dump a lot of chlorine into the system, and then make your water taste really bad for a
It's
couple
certainly not
weeks.
going to. Well, I guess you could impact data center cooling systems or something.
Little
like
bit,
water,
you kind of.
maybe.
Yeah, hopefully not. But like I said though,
I would like
for
all
the
of
most
them
part,
to
I
be
think we're
all
okay.
encrypted. I guess that's my only reaction. Yeah.
Yeah, and the nice part about some of the SCADA systems is they haven't upgraded them for a long time. So some of the equipment is so old that even hackers have no idea what to do because they don't have the
Security through obscurity.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
oh, trust me. Well, one of my clients, I'm not going to tell you who it was, but one of my clients, I had to help them find one of the circuit boards for one of their PLCs. Those are the units for the SCADA that they remote to. Like a PLC would be like on the side of your house, so the SCADA system can get information and tell it to do something. And that was so old, I was looking everywhere. I found a system that was being rebuilt in the Midwest, and they put all their equipment on eBay. So I bought as much as I could so that it would have a few more years of life and no hacker could figure. I mean, if I had to go that far, knowing everything I knew to find this one circuit board, I don't think a hacker would figure out what to do because they wouldn't even know what the equipment was. Because some of those older SCADA systems, they had their own proprietary language and everything. So some of that stuff is okay. It's really just comes down to hopefully they're not connected to the internet, especially the wall.
Yeah, and that is another issue is when you find that some of them have been, and they're openly exposed or something like that.
That's one of the first things I do with every client when they hire us to do that is tell them just get off the internet. But we want our data. I have ways to do that. You don't need the internet. You can get you the information from the internet, but don't connect to the internet. So we've done things like you have a database server, and then that wires to the database. It gathers the information, and then it does a batch at night to a server somewhere. So you can't control anything. Somebody can get the information, but I don't know what a hackers are going to do with the water or wastewater volumes for your city for the past 10 years. It's not going to do much, but
right.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
hopefully, if they use common sense with their way their systems are set up, they're fine. So.
Well, I still feel like cloud companies have a way to go to do, especially things with privacy. And obviously, because we've had a lot of outages recently, it's on your mind. But uptime is still outnumbering. We're still in plenty of nines, things like that. But I just go back to what I said before. Don't rely exclusively on a cloud service.
And choose whoever going to use wisely.
Choose it very, very carefully.
And then also, the only thing I worried about is pay attention to politics, because even our government is trying to muscle all the companies to allow backdoors to shit, which should be not even allowed. So stuff like that that you should worry about more than a hacker going in, because if everybody knows that the government tells them they have to have a backdoor, every hacker's going to go, there's one there, we'll figure it out. So give them an hour, they'll figure it out.
All right, let's get to our pick of the day from Eric, who heard us describing using graph paper for my room layout when I moved down here. Wanted to share a great website he's used for the past few years called floorplanner.com, which allows you to dimension a room and then pick pre-made models of furniture, windows, and other objects and place them. Each object can be dimensioned to match whatever you will be placing and can also be easily rotated as well. You can see exactly how everything fits, and as a bonus, the site has a 3D view mode that renders all the furniture so you can see how it look somewhat in real life. It's free for a small number of layouts, and a pro version is available that lets you do more, and he says it works great, doesn't require any installation, and easy to learn. Floorplanner.com. I wish that had existed, or I'd known about it when I moved.
You can use it for D&D if you're a dungeon master too.
Totally, yeah. You might want to pay for the pro version. It might be worth it. Send your picks to us, feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. You can find my picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. Sonia was very excited. She is a co-executive producer of the show and wrote, "Finally, something I can actually claim expertise in communicating with young children. As an elementary music teacher, I see children from ages 4 to 11 and can say with confidence that in the 24 years I've been teaching, I've definitely seen a deterioration of interpersonal skills directly proportional to the rise of technology. I now daily have the children do polite practice at the beginning of each music class. I greet them each by name. They need to greet me in return, making eye contact. The skill of face-to-face interaction can't be something taken for granted anymore. I've had parents thank me for teaching their children to be polite, make eye contact when speaking, and of course, when we're done with that, we immediately start working with the interactive whiteboard or iPads because I may be old, but I'm still a geek." And I loved this because it was someone who was saying, look, I've actually noticed, we were talking about this on Monday, I've noticed the effect, but it's not somebody who's now technophobic because of it. They're like, oh, this is what we have to do. Thank you, Sonia.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then Ben wrote in and said, I live in Cottage Grove, and while I can't find their coverage map at the moment, you might consider lightwire.net, a local wireless ISP. He's talking about the guy from Wisconsin we mentioned yesterday who built his house on the assurances that he could get cable or DSL, and then he could only get 3 megabit per second DSL. Ben was thinking like maybe lightwire.net could help. It's based just south of Madison. It's a Ubiquity radio-based wireless ISP. I know the owners. They're a great family business. He's like, I have bandwidth issues in rural Cottage Grove, but I live behind a hill, so no Lightwire available for us. And maybe this other guy in Sun Prairie lives behind a hill as well. But I thought that was great, and maybe could be helpful to other people in Wisconsin if you live near Madison.
Maybe they just need to have a really, really big pole. They could put their radio antenna up there, and then it doesn't matter if they're behind the hill or not.
Yeah, up on top of the hill. Perfect time. David Bix on Twitter was one of many people who pointed out that there is a payment plan for the Nexus phones if you sign up through Google Fi. Google Fi provides a payment plan. We were remarking yesterday that Google didn't do a payment plan for their phones as Apple has done, but you can get it through their ISP if you're in a place that has Project Fi, and it makes sense for you to sign up for Google Fi. You can get a payment plan that way. And then finally, Toby, we mentioned his project before on the show, wanted to write in and let us know it has become a reality. So as of Monday, September 28th, the Pittsburgh International Airport became the first airport in the world to have a robot repair shop. Fraley's Robot Repair at the Pittsburgh International Airport branch is a large-scale 600-square-foot retro-futuristic art installation seemingly locked in time. The installation will be on view in Concourse A near Gate A10 through 2020. So if you're headed through Pittsburgh, go take a look at that. The images are at pitrobotrepair.com if you want to see it online, and there's a press release we'll link to as well. Congratulations, Toby. I'm glad you got your project up and running, and it looks cool.
It reminds me of that scene in Star Wars when they had the robot repair area with all the broke down robots. I
had the robot repair playset when I was a kid that had take apart robots that you could. They were really just putting your legs on and off, but it was cool. Yeah. Well, that is it for the show. Derek Colanduno, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today, man. That was awesome.
No problem.
If you like Derek's jib, you like the cut of his jib, check out Skepticality podcast, folks. Skepticality.com. It's a great show. You are the official podcast of Skeptic Magazine, is that right?
Yeah. And the Skeptic Society, yeah.
And the Skeptic Society. So I know that you interviewed the amazing Randy at the last Dragon Con, right?
I've done a couple times. This past year at Dragon Con, we did a live thing, and I asked him about stuff about his life that most people probably wouldn't know. So
check it out. Like Skepticality.com. And, of course, you can follow Derek on Twitter, dcolanduno.com. That's COLANDUNO. Thanks to our patrons. Especially for your patience as Patreon deals with that intrusion, and know that your payment information seems to be okay. We really appreciate your support, whether it's through Patreon or directly through PayPal or at the store. dailytechnewsshow.com/support is the place where you can give a little value back if you get some value from the show. If you don't, that's fine too. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can give us a call, 512-59-DAILY, 512-593-2459. Listen to the show live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at player.alphageekradio.com. And our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with Justin Robert Young and Darren Kitchen, along with Len Peralta illustrating the show. Talk to you then.
show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
That was a great show.
You
Fun.
bet.
Thanks, man. What should we call it?
I have ideas.
You have ideas?
Showbot.tv to vote as Jenny tells us some of the best ideas.
We've got House of Clouds.
Okay, I kind of love that already.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for to beat that one.
Yes.
Skada on Thin Ice.
Skada, as I just
Skada.
Skada.
Which makes that even funnier.
Yeah, it does. That's true.
I'll just be over here.
With me.
Then there's Don't Have a Cloud, Man.
That's good, too.
Um,
The cloud is falling. The cloud is falling.
yeah.
It's funny that
Those are
the
my
whole
faves.
the SCADA thing came up because that's the reason why I have my job now. So
I know, it's perfect.
I know.
That's
You didn't know that either.
No, I didn't know you dealt specifically with SCADA. I knew because you worked with water and wastewater that the cloud thing in general might apply, but that was fantastic.
Yeah, we have a SCADA workshop in my office.
No kidding. Wow.
Yeah, I don't deal with that programming stuff anymore, but we have people from my company who do. So they have a whole like test bed thing for all the clients. So it's kind of funny that around my office we have these little PLC nodes that they wirelessly try to connect through, just to test things out.
Whew. Well, those are my suggestions.
I like House of Clouds.
Yeah, I like that one too.
I think that's the one.
It's very,
SCADA on Thin Ice has got an honorable mention, though. House
don't
of
let
Clouds
my
is-
opinion sway the vote.
I will. I will let your opinion sway the vote. I think we're all in love with that title, and now we'll have to marry it.
But that's bigamy for you. And me, I guess.
Bigamy?
Right? You can't marry more than one wife.
Polygamy.
No, is it
Bigamy is
bigamy
when you
where
marry
you...
more than one pig.
No, not bigamy, bigamy.
Oh, bigamy. I'm sorry. I misheard you.
But yeah, and pigamy is it's little people, right?
Guys, I mentally tuned out for 1 second, and you're talking about
Do you
polygamy.
see what happens? You need to pay attention.
What is going on? All I was trying to do was buy tickets for The Martian. Okay?
Look,
I said I'm in love with
Blame
this
Roger.
title, but we'll have to, pretty much just blame Roger. Exactly.
All right. I'm back. Stop doing all that.
yeah, no, I know what we're talking about. You might have thoughts.
Roger, I said we're in love with the title. We have to marry it, and then Roger said that was bigamy, and then I misheard him to hilarious effect.
That makes
I think
more sense.
Tom was looking for a punny excuse or something.
Maybe I was.
Perhaps you were just subconsciously. I wonder if you see things like a store name on a sign and think of something else just because it's like, oh, there has to be a pun in there.
You're not too far off, actually. I can't help it, Roger.
Tom, have you ever spent time with Blake Smith at DragonCon? Because that's what he does.
Oh, really? No, I haven't.
Yeah, the guy who does the sister show to mine, the
Yeah.
Monster Talk. Yeah,
All right.
He runs that show, and he's all about the fun. The puns.
There's your Skep Track panel for me next time.
Puns?
Next year, you can just have me and him have a pun off.
Ooh.
I think we
He'll
can
probably
find-
win.
Yes, he probably would. I wouldn't know. I'd have to move that to a different track, but I wouldn't know which one.
Isn't there some like? I'm trying to figure out how to tie puns into skepticism. I think everyone's skeptical that they're funny.
Well,
I don't know
I
if
think
that qualifies.
I think that's Blake's trying to fix that. But
Yeah. Skeptipuns. It would be a pun fest, not a pun off.
there you go.
You'll
Great
need the
pun,
crystal
yeah.
ballroom for that one. That'd be huge.
This crystal ballroom's actually not that big.
No, it's actually the perfect size for something like Sword and Laser.
Well,
We can look like we fill the room.
the funny part is the crystal ballroom is only about 80 seats bigger than my track room. It's just wide.
Yeah, because your track room is so long, you forget
Yeah.
just how many people it
Well,
seats.
it's the whole wing of the freaking hotel. So that's why we wanted to get all three of the reality tracks back together, and if we take over the salon rooms, we'd actually have nice big giant square rooms rather than my track room is like an airplane. Just pain in the ass.
So what are those 3 tracks?
That are there now?
What are the 3 tracks that you would move in there?
Oh, well, see, we used to all be right next to each other, the space, science, and skeptic tracks.
Oh, okay.
And we used to be right next to each other before, and they moved space upstairs because she
Space
needed
went
a little more.
upstairs. That's right. Okay.
Well, because the tracks across the hall, unlike my side of the hall, we can open up all the walls. That's why we have that big long room.
Right.
Across the hall, those are actually just solid walls all the way down.
Right. And then when you opened up and pushed podcast over, then that basically just took away a room. You had somebody else.
Yeah, well, see, we kept pushing. See, we pushed over space track, and then we pushed over science, and then we pushed over podcasting. So now they all are in those rooms that you can't open up. But so Stephen Grenade and Rain got together, and we're all trying to push them to now they're all those giant areas in where the salon and the grand ballrooms are. If we take over that salon area, there's 3 giant rooms right next to each other that we can take over, and then we have all the reality, space, science, skeptic stuff right next to each other. So,
Reality, space, science.
well, it's because we call the Hilton where all the reality stuff for DragonCon is. There's robotics, EFF, space,
It's
science.
nonfiction. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's
Hey.
BFF? Like best friends forever?
No, EFF.
EFF.
Oh, okay. It's like BFF. That's where all the good friends hang out.
Yeah. And they used to have gaming. As of next year, the gaming's moving. So.
Gaming's not reality.
Well, but
There's
it's
a bar in
not.
there.
It's not fantasy or sci-fi. It's just people having fun. So
Yeah.
we lumped it into the whole, reality stuff.
It's procedural fiction. You're
you go.
creating a story as you play.
Blame Sherlock Holmes. That's the first books that ever did that.
Ooh, cool. Beatmaster says, for DragonCon TV viewers, I'm sorry, DragonCon. I have DragonCon on the brain. For Diamond Club TV viewers, there will be a show interviewing Andy Weir at 6:45 Eastern by the Sci-Fi Geek Club.
Oh, cool.
Well done, Sci-Fi Geeks Club. That's awesome.
Hey, I had an interview with him before they made all the huge announcements about the movie. Actually,
Yeah, we interviewed him early, like around the same time that you guys did, I think.
Yeah.
He was just like kind of stunned at the success of
I
the
know.
book at that point. It was awesome.
And I tried to get him to DragonCon, but he doesn't fly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
He has a
interesting.
super fear of flying.
No kidding.
So we were trying to get him to come by bus, but because he's so far away, he was
Yeah, that's a long
Yeah.
haul.
So
Wow, he doesn't. How ironic, right?
I know. It's like, wait a minute. So I told him. I think in the interview I even said. So basically, your whole fear of flying is basically encapsulated in that book.
Yeah. It's
This
like
would
a
happen.
catastrophization of his own fear.
Yes, exactly.
What is going on? I just looked down at the chat room and I see Dark Redeemer saying to Tinvek, what's the difference between an entomologist and an etymologist? An etymologist would know the difference.
I don't know. It got weird fast.
And it'll just bug the entomologist all day.
Exactly.
Tinvek came back with that line. That's awesome. You guys are the best. It's not me. It's not me this time. All right. I think I've got the show published. and hopefully it's actually going to show up in Overcast today. We've had some issues with Overcast, and it's not us as far as I can tell, because it doesn't affect Downcast or iTunes, but I can't get it to download on my Overcast either. So something was going on. In the past, when I've had inexplicable issues like that, it's been some weird encoding of the MP3. So I just wiped out all the encoding that I use and started fresh with the settings that I know should work. And I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that that fixed it.
It's not me, it's them.
It's something. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you later.
Woohoo!